Fitness, Phil. You'll disrespect, I break your neck and then I flex.
It comes in denim. It comes in denim. It comes in denim. It comes in denim. Denim, what do bananas have to do with denim?
Good morning, everyone. Guess what? It's time for another episode of the DSP Morning Show here on DSP Gaming. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2026. It's a new month. I wish that I had better news to bring you guys today, but I don't really have good news at all. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is official. July 1st.
Got a little bit of knife hand, buddy? Huh? Does somebody want to take your trunnion away?
2026 will go down in history as physical gaming media Armageddon. What that means is that as of today, it is absolutely official. The games industry has decided to move on from physical game discs. This is something that, if you've been following the industry for a while like I am, you've seen the writing on the wall for a very long time. Ever since you would buy a game disc, put it in your console, and find out, oh, the game's not on this disc. Actually, it's just a digital placeholder. It immediately triggers whichever digital store you're using, whether that's PlayStation Network or the Xbox Live Store, and then it starts downloading the real game onto your console. So what was the disc for? The answer is nothing. It was just a placebo to make you think you physically own something that you actually don't. Because in reality, for those who don't know, when you buy a video game in the modern era, you don't own it. Unless you actually are buying the IP, intellectual property of the game, you don't own the game. You just own a license to play it. And that's exactly what has happened, is people have misunderstood what game ownership is for a very, very long time, thinking that because you own a physical copy, you actually own the game. That's why there's a whole resale market for games that has had a humongous industry crash in the last 10 years. Why do you think GameStop, who used to be the #1 gaming store in the world, had to completely reposition and now become a place that basically sells junk like pop culture figures and t-shirts, or does Pokemon card trade-ins? That's why, everything is changing. And what we're going to do today is to actually analyze what's going on, because it first started just a few days ago when we covered the announcement of the pre-orders of GTA 6, and Rockstar outright said no physical copies. We will only ever be giving out digital codes. Even if you buy the physical box edition, there's still a code inside. Then the entire internet went crazy and said, oh, there has to be physical, there has to be physical. And they even started making stuff up. Like, they started taking obscure help request responses from Rockstar as, oh, look, they're going to make a physical copy. Rockstar then confirmed, we are not making physical copies. There will never be a disc of GTA 6. And so, I think this has been the spark where the entire industry was just waiting for one big company, one big game, to someone to make the push towards all digital. And since Rockstar made that push, everyone is going to follow suit. It began today. Are you ready? I think we just jump right into this story. Let's do it. Let's cover the news right at the beginning and top of the show. Okay? Ready for this? Well, I was ready. There we go. PlayStation blog. Physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, Physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting in January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in the disc format. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. The transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. Thank you to the faithful Kimono. That's very generous of you, and I will shout that out in a second. Hold on 1 second. Okay. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation and how players can blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Okay? So here's the thing again. The writing has been on the wall for a long time that this was going to happen. We saw everyone starting to buy digital. The internet infrastructure in the world improved worldwide, so everyone could get these games digitally day one. DLC distribution, became solely digital, and we kind of had a feeling, right? But again, when you buy a disc, you put it in your console, and it literally doesn't install anything. It just says go right to the store and it downloads the game. You could have done that already. So the disc didn't matter. And what you have to understand is, especially now, what's going on in the world. Inflation is rampant and crazy. And pricing of RAM, memory cards, etc. is going up. World strife causing things like gas prices to fluctuate. Well, what's going to happen is every industry is going to try to penny pinch. They're all going to try to tighten their belts a little bit. And producing a physical disc, a physical box, a printed, insert costs money. Money that companies like Sony think that they could do better appropriating somewhere else, that it doesn't really add to additional sales or value to actually have a physical copy anymore. So you might say, this isn't a big deal, right? Because already the industry was headed this way, so why does this matter? Okay? So I do have two actual reasons that I think that this matters significantly that we should absolutely bring up, okay? Reason number one is the entire preface of sharing a game or renting a game or reselling a game. I want you to think about this. A digital code cannot be resold once it's been redeemed. A digital code cannot be traded with your friends so they can borrow a game and see if it's any good. A digital code cannot be resold at any kind of a store. Therefore, digital codes become one-time purchases where only you have access to this game, and that's that. If this change had come and Sony announced, from now on, we're actually going to have a new digital marketplace where you can buy and sell digital versions of games and their licenses, I'd be like, okay, not a big deal. But they didn't do that. They're just going to take away physical medium completely and give you no alternative besides, here's your code, you're going to like it, tough. Now, if you don't know, an announcement like this already happened. It was just a very long time ago. At the launch of the Xbox One, Don Matrick, who then was the head of Xbox, outright stated, we're not going to have the physical medium anymore, right? No trading of games, no buying and selling to your friends or handing to your friends. We're just going to have it all be digitally linked to the console. And if you remember at that time, everyone was in an uproar. Oh my God, no way. And then Sony, it was actually Sony who did that E3 skit where the two guys who were the heads of Sony, one guy says, how do you trade your games, or how do you lend your games to a friend like this? And it just shows him like handing the game over. There you go. Well, guess what? That's done because there's no more physical discs. So how on earth would you ever do it? Right? So it's funny because it was Sony who over a decade ago was the one giving the razz to Xbox because Xbox wanted to do this first. And Sony said, we won't do it. But now Sony is the one actually pushing this forward, not Xbox. So number one, I do think that's the number one problem is no more resale market whatsoever. No more sharing games with friends. No more rentals. It's all over. All that entire market is now done. Okay? However, there is another bigger issue. And if you want to really get to the meat of it, I actually think this is one of the major reasons why Sony is doing it. Are you ready? Shout out to Dustin Furman on X, who made an excellent post. And in this post, he cites, "This totally sucks. They will eventually try to blame this decision on the handheld, but the reality is they want you spending more money on games with less consumer choice. Don't take my word for it. Look at the prices of physical versus digital on PSN for these older titles." You ready for this? Astrobot, which was the launch title for PlayStation 5. You can buy physical right now on Amazon for $39. If you try to get it digitally from Sony, $60. God of War Ragnarok, you can buy physically on Amazon right now for $32.75. They're still charging full price on PlayStation Network. Gran Turismo 7, $38.99 on Amazon, physical. Digital, $69.99. And lastly, The Last of Us, Part 1, which I believe this is the PS5 remake version of it, $34.38, physical, digital, full price. So, why do you really think Sony is going to get rid of physical disc production? They want to have a stranglehold on the market for their games. This isn't so much of a big deal if you're talking third-party games, because third-party games obviously can be played across multiple platforms. No one really has a control of the market. You could get a third-party game on Steam. You could get it on other digital stores for PC. Then you could get it on PSN. You could get it on Xbox Store, right? But for the exclusives, for the ones that these companies design exclusively for their platform, they will now have a complete control over the market. What I'm going to say right now, maybe a little controversial, but I am now foreseeing a monstrous explosion of third-party sellers selling digital redemption codes. For example, there are third-party sites out there you can go and you can buy a code for these games that you then redeem on PlayStation Network that's much cheaper. Okay? I'm going to predict that we are going to see a mass increase of people now buying those codes, because it used to be, I'll just get the physical copy, it's $30, but now there's no more physical copy. So go to the reseller and buy it there, and it's actually cheaper. So the next step, and this is just a prediction, the next step might be Sony starts to crack down on digital codes, saying, oh, now there's no more digital code sales. We're not going to allow that. Instead, it's just going to be you have to buy through PlayStation Network Store. That's it. Which is crazy to think, because they're saying we are going to still sell the codes in stores. But what if you have this resellers market that's basically undercutting them? They might get angry and say, we're not going to do that anymore. This is a big industry shift, everybody. This is huge. And you have to understand, this, sadly, is anti-consumer. This is taking control out of the hands of you and me and putting it solely in the hands of these corporations. They want to choke you for every dollar they can because costs are going up. So, yeah, as much as I've been 100% saying the writing's on the wall, this is eventually going to happen, and there's not much we can do about it, it's still sad, and it's still bad news for us as consumers and gamers. Okay? Now, that's not the only news going on in regards to this. Xbox announced a new initiative this morning, very weird, that Sony announces they're completely getting rid of game discs in 2028. And now, immediately Xbox makes this announcement. You ready for this? Xbox is testing disc-to-digital features that will digitize your physical game collection. So what they're stating is they're going to have a digital collection available on Xbox consoles. You take your physical disc, you put it in the console, it scans it. Now you own the game digitally, so you don't need to have the disc ever again. You'll have it attached to your, I guess, your ID or whatever on Xbox. So you'll have a digital collection following you around, even if you bought the game physically. Sounds like a good idea, and it sounds like, hey, that could help the customer, except you understand where this is going. What they want to do is get all of your games digitally so that you don't need the physical media anymore, and it devalues the physical media, therefore it makes sense to phase it out. Do you see? So, yeah, I hate to say it, even Xbox, it looks like, was going to do it, and it looks like Sony just beat them to the punch on their announcement. But that's exactly what this is. Why else would Xbox be offering to turn your physical discs digital? What purpose would that have, right? Because they want to get rid of physical media too. So, there you go. Hey, and Wiggle Will just made a good point. He says, keep in mind, when everything ends up being digital now, no physical media, imagine what happens if Xbox or PlayStation decides, oh, you broke their terms of service somehow, and they freeze your account. Now you lose your entire game collection because you don't have anything physically. What if someone hacks your account and steals it? It's like mass theft. Someone just stole your entire game collection out from under you. You own nothing because all you ever had was a digital ID that can be stolen. Okay, one more piece of news today on the morning show, everybody. Let's get it all out of the way, and then we'll get to shout-outs and interactions, okay? As if it wasn't bad enough that Sony made this announcement this morning, they make another update that they're going to be closing the digital marketplace stores for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita this year. That's correct. Well, I take that back. Next year for worldwide, this year for certain regions. As you can see, Mexico, Honduras, and Nicaragua will be gone by August. Latin America, Middle Eastern countries by late 2026, and then by the end of July 2027 worldwide. Now you might say, well, why is this a big deal? Well, I'm going to give you some perspective here, okay? For the longest time, when I went to play legacy PlayStation games, the only way by which I could actually play them was to download them digitally on my PlayStation 3. And this was long after the life cycle of the PS3 kind of ended. This is when PS4 was prominent or whatever. Oh, I want to play Dino Crisis, right? Well, it was only digitally on PS3. They never re-released it for a modern console. They never have a new version of it. You have to get it off the old PlayStation 3 store. Well, there isn't going to be a PlayStation 3 store. PlayStation Vita is even worse because at least with the PlayStation 3 store, you have the ability to possibly get the games in another way. You know, get the original format back on for whatever format it was, PS1, PS2. Now they have the new PlayStation Plus catalog where they're adding games to it every once in a while and you can play it there. And admittedly, a lot of PlayStation games have been added. For example, now you can play Dino Crisis on a modern PlayStation. But with PS Vita, guess what? That's the only way you can get PS Vita games right now is to get the legacy physical copy, which I'm sure is actually hard to get at this point, or to download games off of the digital store. If they close the digital store for PS Vita, how on earth are you ever going to get a game again for that console? And the answer is, you're not. So essentially what they're doing is they're bricking everyone's PS Vita unless you somehow get your hands on a physical game collection, which is going to be incredibly hard to do. This is going to cause the cost of PS Vita physical games to skyrocket, as it's the only way anyone could ever play a game on their Vita ever again. So, pretty crazy day, huh? We saw it. The writing was on the wall. It is physical media Armageddon. And when physical media goes away, it essentially means the control is taken out of the hands of the consumer and placed solely in the hands of the corporations. They now tell you how to get the games, they price the games, and they control the market. The physical media put that power in the hands of the gamers as we had this third-hand reselling marketplace, buying, selling, outside of the realm of the original transaction. A third-party market meant that we could now actually have collections, control things, actually have values go up and down and all of that. Now, it's all in their control. And at any moment, they could just say, oh, pull the plug. For example, are you aware that it was just announced, literally this week, that Sony lost the rights to a certain movie collection? And if you had bought those movies on the PlayStation Network outright for purchase to own forever, you lose the rights. You just lose the movie because you never had it physically, and they're just taking it away. I think one of the big movies like Terminator 2, that's a huge movie. I'm sure tons of people have bought it. Well, if you bought it on PlayStation, you now don't own it anymore. They robbed you. And apparently, there's nothing you can do because I guess somewhere in the terms it said at any time they can revoke the rights. So what's to say that at some point they just decide they revoke all your rights and now you have no games? The Block made a good point. Thankfully, there's still places like Limited Run, In, and Fangamer. I do feel like what'll happen for certain releases, you will see these third-party companies manufacture physical copies just for the sake of having that nostalgia, but that's not going to be for these big ones. You know, anything that's Sony made, Xbox made, etc., they're not going to be making physical copies. Holy moly, guys. That's insane. Like, to be frank, that's just crazy. We knew it was coming. It was Studio Canal stuff. Thank you, Myru. And he says it's Studio Canal movies. You paid money for the movies and shows. They've removed all of it with no reimbursement. Nothing. You just got robbed. That's what just happened on PlayStation this week. So now imagine these games have digital distribution through PlayStation Network, Xbox. Oh, one day, oh, we don't have it anymore. They pulled their games. Okay, well, you lose your game now. You can't play it ever again, right? That's exactly how they want it. They want to completely control their own games. That way, they think that they can make more money. They're so afraid right now that the industry is crashing. AAA games aren't selling like they used to. Budgets are way over ballooning. The development cycle's way too long. The cost of game development is going up. The cost of resources to make consoles, to make PCs is going up. Everything is bad. So they're saying, we need to find a way to make more money. And this is the way. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you a very valid perspective on this, okay? So when I purchased my current car, which is a Toyota, okay, they asked me, did I want to do the service plan where you pay a certain amount, and if ever your car needs service, whether it's a oil change, whether it's a tire rotation, you get a leak in your tire and they need to repair it or whatever, it's actually covered under this plan that you pay for, right? And when I got the car nearly a decade ago, I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Let's do it. I'll pay for the plan. This way I don't ever have to worry about maintenance. I ever have a problem, I'll just bring it in, right? First time I needed to do something, okay, it was oil change. I contacted them. Do you want to know what they told me? Well, because COVID is going on, okay, this is the first time I was actually trying to do it under their plan rather than, like, take it to a place myself, right? COVID's going on. You're going to have to wait about 2 months. Excuse me? Yeah, we're backed up because of COVID. 2-month wait to get an oil change. Are they insane? I wanted to make sure that they were telling me the truth. That yes, 2 months. So I could drive it right across the street to Jiffy Lube right now and get it done. You want me to wait 2 months for an oil change? So you want to know what I did? I drove my car across the street to Jiffy Lube and I got my oil change, and then I canceled my plan, and they actually gave me all the money back. Because if you don't use the plan, they basically will credit you for it, and I never used it, so they gave me back like 2 years of the plan. I got all my money back. So this is what I mean. If you let these companies control everything, expect to have no control over anything. Get it? They will tell you, they will dictate how everything works. They will tell you when you can do something, how often you can do it, how much you can do it. Are you crazy? Well, I thought I owned my car. I can't just get the oil change? No, wait 2 months till we can take it in. What the hell with you? Do you tell me I can't open my car hood? I'm not buying your car. If you're not aware, there's currently a lawsuit going through. People are suing the 3 big memory manufacturers because remember what I said 2 days ago on the morning show? That I didn't understand why pricing on memory was ballooning. And everyone's like, well, it's because demand is going up because of AI. But the way I explained it was you have to understand something. Just because there's more demand doesn't mean the cost to manufacture is higher. More demand means more people want it, but it doesn't mean it's more expensive to make. What I felt was happening is that we were getting scammed. That these companies that make the memory said, ooh, there's way more demand for it now and AI companies want to buy up all our memory. Let's ramp up the prices so we can make more profits. Well, guess what? There's evidence that actually happened, and there's a lawsuit going through right now suing the top 3 memory manufacturers in the world that they are colluding to rip off the world and get rich quick. I don't think a lawsuit would be going through like that if there wasn't some evidence of this actually happening. Because I think that's exactly what it is. They're trying to take advantage of us, saying, well, the world's now reliant on our memory, and everyone wants it. Let's jack up the price, and we'll just basically make extra money for nothing. Well, they're getting sued. Toyota's very easy to get parts, third-party parts, too. Like, you don't even have to get name-brand parts if you don't need to. Toyotas are very easy maintenance cars. Why did the Toyota dealership think I was going to wait 2 months for an oil change? They have to be stupid. And the answer is they are. They were absolutely stupid. Like, it made no sense at all. It was funny because when I called to cancel the plate, you actually have to call and talk to a rep. They want to make it hard for you because they realize a lot of people don't like confrontation. And if you actually have to call and talk to someone to cancel, they think you won't. But I did, of course. And when the representative was like, why are you canceling this plan? I thought, we everything we've heard is a very good plan. I said, I literally just got off the phone with your dealership and they said I have to wait 2 months to get my oil changed. That's insane. And the person on the line said, oh, that is insane. Okay, I understand. And then they canceled it. I leased 2 BMWs in my lifetime. One when I first became a YouTuber and started printing money when I was prominent. And then another time when I moved out here, I got another BMW for about 3 years. Do I miss it? Here's what I liked about the BMW, okay? First of all, it was superbly quiet. When you're in the BMW, you can't really hear much. It's like sound canceling technology or whatever. You don't hear anything outside the car. And that's nice, except sometimes there'd be like an ambulance or something coming by, and I could barely notice because it actually was such good sound containment that I couldn't really hear it. Okay, that was number one. Number two, the brakes. The brakes on BMWs are insanely good. You can stop on a dime, and I mean it. You could literally stop your car instantly in any situation without ever it's just done. Wow. What kind of brakes those are, I don't know, but they're absolutely insanely powerful brakes. Okay? Outside of that, the only other thing I would say is comfort. The seats were very comfortable. They were full leather and, very comfy at all times. That's about it, though. Like, outside of those 3 features, nothing in the BMW did I really need. Like, for example, when I first got it, this was way long ago, like 14 years ago, I think 2012 when I got my first one. It had a GPS built into the dashboard. And this was unheard of at the time. Like, most cars didn't have that. It had the GPS right there, so you don't need your phone or nothing. You just do it right through the dashboard, and that was amazing. But now, literally, everyone just uses GPS in their phones for free, so you don't need that feature anymore, okay? It had a moonroof. What the hell do I need a moonroof for? What do you use that for? Nothing. It's completely worthless, right? It had the service where if you're stuck somewhere, like let's say you get into a car accident, or you're lost in the woods, you don't know where the hell you are, you push the button, and it uses a satellite to contact a representative 24/7, you explain your situation, and they help you. Whether they send roadside assistance to come help you, they send the police to come get you if you're in a car accident, or an ambulance, or they send someone to find you if you're lost. They'll actually do that. Like, it tracks your car on like a GPS, and they send someone out. Do you want to know how many times I used it? None. You want to know what it had? Heated seats and a heated steering wheel. Woo! I never used any of the features. I never used them. I didn't need them, So, luxury cars are just that. They're luxury, meaning you're going to spend a lot of money to have them. But ultimately, most of the features for a normal person, you're never going to take advantage of. I could see if you're someone who has a long commute every day and you're stuck in your car for an extended period of time, sure, maybe then you could say, I'd like to take advantage of a luxury car because it feels better or whatever. For me, I've now had my Toyota Corolla for almost a decade. We're going on year 10 right now. I have zero complaints. And that's a car that's half as expensive. So, the car I had when I was an early YouTuber was a Pontiac Grand Am 2002. It was on its last legs. The thing was literally leaking fluids. The window had broken and wouldn't go up and down anymore. It was stuck falling through the door. The thing was literally going to explode.
I'm in tremendous pain. I'm in tremendous pain. Help me, help me, help me.
So I drove the Grand Am onto the lot, and I explained to them, I need a car. They're like, what? I was like, listen, I need a car. My car is out there, and I think there might be a fuse in the back. It's going to burn out. It's going to explode in your lot. So I need a car. And so they showed me all the different models. I got the entry-level model. Whatever the entry-level BMW was at the time in 2012, that's the one I got. I didn't overspend or anything. And the only catch was I wanted black, and the only ones that they had on the lot, I think, were silver and, like, blue. So what they had to do was go across town, and on another lot, they had a black model. And so I test drove a different color. I said, yeah, it's good. I like it. And they, they ran my credit. They approved it, stamped it. I just sat there and waited like an hour, and they went and got the black car, drove it to the dealership, and I literally left. In one sitting, I left with the BMW. Retail price of a box of Pokemon cards, $161. And then there's tax, so it ends up being like $170 and change. Scalper price for a box of Pokemon cards, over $300. So you're paying double. Niggers.
I need banana, tasty banana.